high school season in New Mexico. I know that Jet did have the opportunity to work an event in Colorado and shared that experience. And I don't know if Jet's on, but hopefully we'll get to hear a little bit about that. And I know you guys in Texas are gearing up pretty rapidly now, so that's really exciting for everybody. But I just wanted to kind of hit a checklist of some of the more practical things that we face as we would be preparing in October for a November start. Here we are about to turn the corner into March and preparing for an April start. So I hit the physical part of it first and didn't chose not to try to entertain you with cutesy pictures and that. I know that everybody here's got their own lifestyle and physical regimen and these you're all people that have a tendency to stay in pretty good shape. I'll speak for myself. The one thing that I really add, and I try to do it in the simplest ways, is just level changes, because I know that jumping into day-long events, especially, if we're able to have a tri or a quad and have, a few duels in succession, the first weekend can be pretty taxing on knee joints, depending on age and what the rest of your physical regimen is. So, I just make it a point to any chance that I get, if I'm picking up a pen that I dropped on the floor, I this time of year or generally in October, I switch over to the type of level change that would fit our refereeing motion. Other than that, I think just making sure that you are getting into a routine that's going to facilitate early mornings or getting home late at night from driving, and making sure that your nutrition is solid, and having a plan about, whatever bags of peanuts or snacks or jars of Gatorade need to be carried in the vehicle. Those are just things that maybe we got out of sync with because we didn't have an October, November start. The mental preparation, I think much the same thing, and I do have a sample that I hope will show through. But it's been a long time since some of us have seen live wrestling, and being able to imagine it while we're driving or rehearse it, replay it in our minds, is such a valuable skill. The sample that I have, pretty good match that went on last weekend, and a really pretty good referee. This is Pete Mankiewicz from St. Louis, and this is the beginning of the second period. And if you look at the score right now, it's 12-2. There's a false start on DeSantos. Then I said, Pete is a very accomplished referee. I mean, obviously he's working the number one ranked team in the country, and this was a triangular that was held at Purdue. So he's out and scores one and then scores two. Things happen quickly in college wrestling. Okay, Ohio State scores one, DeSanto gets another two, and back points. When that cradle breaks, it's going to be 19-3. DeSanto knows what the score is. The coaches know what the score is. The referee doesn't know what the score is. So he awards an escape, and good for DeSanto that he's got the presence of mind to just keep wrestling. But this was technical superiority a while back. And I talked to Pete about this after the match. He quite honestly just got lost in the emotion of the moment. Working DeSanto is a pretty big deal work in Iowa is a pretty big deal. And his assistant didn't help him much at all. So just entertainment there. I hope you were able to see the video. I know I've shown you a lot of Olympic style wrestling in the last few weeks, but thought I'd get you some collegiate styles a little closer to home. In terms of our professional preparation, right now, I think the biggest thing on Dana's plate is getting everybody registered. And I should slash that also on Nate's plate. Nate really facilitates so many of us, with technical issues with registration and other processes, but one of the things that we've got to consider with all these registrations, I believe, Coach Owen, if I've missed something and this is not our current schedule, let me know. But currently, I believe our coaches and athletes get to start practicing late March, and then our competition starts the week of the 5th, and we finish up just before Memorial Day. With the getting registered, I don't have to play this video. But this is what Nate sent out to all of us not too long ago. Actually, Dana sent it out, but I think Nate narrates this piece on how to register.
You want me to just screen share real quick? I've got it up right now.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
And chances are, if there's a video, Nate has produced that. I just send emails.
All right. So if you received the link that Dana sent you, this is it's going to take you here. It's actually going to take you to the next step. But if you have trouble finding our registration, or you can just go to our website, nmact.org, and you can actually, and I'll just do that now. Let me just move my screen here. If you go to nmact.org, and there is an officials tab. This will take you to our Arbiter Sports main page. I should tell you that if you're trying this from your phone and you are not registered, or have never been registered, or you don't have an account, it's going to require a password. So then you just enter your Arbiter password. If you're a brand new official, you don't have a password, you don't have a username, I recommend, or you need to use a actual computer or your laptop, but any kind of iOS device or Android, you cannot get to this page without using a password. But if you click on that link, it'll take you here. Then you'll go to your registration tab. I get asked all the time, hey, have I registered? There's actually a way for you to check your registration. And if you go to this registration dashboard, you'll see that there is current registrations and then completed registrations. So you'll want to scroll down, and as you can see, we have completed for this year, Dana and I, as this is our little test, we did complete the basketball reciprocal and the soccer sub-varsity for this year. Everything else that is current is right in here. We did have an issue today. I fixed it. The wrestling registration was actually closed, so I had to change the date, and it is now open again. But again, reciprocal official, let me explain that real quick. A reciprocal official is a dual state official. So Mondo and those guys, they actually register as full serving officials in our state, but a reciprocal official is somebody from El Paso. Mondo has somebody in El Paso that wants to just help out with the regular season. They can register as a reciprocal. They do not get to officiate postseason, state tournaments. They're not eligible for any of that. So really, in the sport of wrestling, I don't see why anybody would want to be a reciprocal official. But and then there's sub-varsity only, and then there's varsity, sub-varsity. So when you're checking this box, make sure you're checking the correct box. I get a lot of officials that live in Albuquerque that check this reciprocal box in all sports. And really what happens is that reciprocal, you're only being charged $22.50. That doesn't cover what needs to be covered as a full official. But so really ultimately, especially in the sport of wrestling, you probably just want to be varsity, sub-varsity, or sub-varsity only. So you check that box and you get your registration started. You go through your steps and make sure that there's a green check through all those steps, and boom, you're good to go. Once you get to payment, you have two options. You can either pay by check or pay by credit card. I will tell you, if you pay by check, especially during COVID time, the process is you put it in the mail. It comes to our office, no telling if we're even at the office, and it could sit in the mailbox for 5 to 6 days. Then it goes to the business manager. It may sit on her desk for 5 to 6 days. Then it comes into my box, and it may sit there for 5 to 6 days. And it may take you 20 days before you get verified and checked off. If you want the quick, easy way, just credit card and you're activated. As soon as you hit submit, you're active. The system automatically releases your account and you're good to go. If you do send in a check, just send me an email saying, hey, Nate, I don't feel comfortable paying by credit card online, because we get a lot of that as well. I sent in a check. That at least gives me the idea that, and I can probably speed up the process, but that's pretty much how that's done. Rusty asked me to kind of push you to get registered if you haven't gotten registered. I highly recommend doing that. I know we have officials that just wait till the very last minute, and the problem with that is you don't get your materials, your rule books, and especially in a COVID year like this, our office is trying to save as much money as possible. So every time in the sport of wrestling, I believe postage is like $6 per package, where, if I send the rule books to an entire group, it might be $15. So that's kind of the difference. So if you can register prior to the deadline or here before I start sending rule books out, that'd be great, because I do want to get you all of your rule books and all your materials as soon as possible. So I asked Rusty if I should give you guys the heartfelt rah-rah speech or the old wrestling coach in your face registration speech. So I kind of went to the middle of that.
Thanks.
Somewhere in between.
Nate, I have a question, and maybe you know, maybe you don't, but halfway down that list, there's a thing that says wrestling dual state. Do you have any idea what that is?
Yep. So I have two of those. Actually, I have a reciprocal and a dual state. So they're the exact same thing. Why there are two, I need to check, but it should only be reciprocal and not dual state, or dual state, not reciprocal. It means the exact same thing.
Right. 'Cause I did mine last August, but looking at it, I thought we were having a dual meet state championship. So I'm registered for it.
So what I'm going to do, you did dual state? Yeah, okay. So let me go in there and what I'll do is I will pull whoever has registered for dual state, and then I will deactivate that account and then leave the reciprocal open. So I'm going to send myself an email right now.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Nate?
Yeah, I do. What is a check? Is that something that you I'm kidding.
That was awesome. I'm one of 3 people still living who carry a checkbook, so that was hysterical. Thanks for that, Carlos.
Exactly. That was good.
And you stumped Nate. He was like, I don't know how to answer this.
That's
And
good.
we don't have all your cuates on, so we didn't have anybody to interpret for us in response to that, Carlos.
Yeah, that's why I had to ask, because I was like, do they still use this? Or I don't know what that is.
Okay, Carlos wins the night.
Yes.
Good job.
Again. Okay. All right. That was Nate's recorded version.
And I probably need to redo it. I'm sure there's things that have changed. Sorry, Elaine, are you?
Yeah, I was raising my hand. So quick question on the hub. There's two different wrestling, because I was doing it right now. There was New Mexico NMAA wrestling official and NM Central Hub.
Okay, so yes, so New Mexico wrestling is where you get your assignments. If we are using the arbiter, and I think we're slowly moving that direction. But the central hub is where you register. The wrestling group is where you get your assignments.
Perfect. But there's also Central Hub, and then I have a 128.
So
Oh,
there's
go ahead.
two central hubs, right? One says official and one says central hub, central hub.
Yep. Which one?
The central hub, central hub.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. No, that's a good question because people ask that all the time. Officials ask that all the time. The central hub official, we will never use that. It's never been used. I don't know why we have it, but it comes with the central hub, central hub.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. That's where the registration will always be. Thanks. Great question.
Anybody else for Nate? Nate, thank you for making that simple for us.
Yeah, hopefully.
I listed our regions up there. The question is, and we don't need a strict time just this moment, but consideration for meetings, virtual meetings, conference calls, Zoom, Google Meet, whatever. I don't know who's considered what. I do know that Dana, we had spoken with John King on our last webinar about being able to use the Zoom mechanism for a central region meeting. We haven't achieved that date yet, so I'll try to get with you towards the end of the call or maybe right after the call, and we can narrow down a date and I can get back with John on that. But I believe, I know we've got Paul and Jet on the call. Do you guys have any firm information that you can share about meetings that may happen in the northwest corner in the San Juan Basin?
No, we don't have anything on schedule as of yet, Rusty. We'll get with Jason and see what we can do. Is there like a preset agenda, or are we kind of making our own topics?
So the way it'll work, just I don't want to interrupt, but all of the meetings will be statewide this year. We'll facilitate them through Zoom. On March 3rd, we'll be meeting with the regional assigners to schedule, well, we've got them scheduled, but what'll happen is each region will actually do one presentation. That being said, should a region want to have a group meeting separate, they're more than welcome to. And if it's a night that our Zoom is available, they're welcome to use that. But the entire season will be virtual meetings that our office will host, quote unquote. We'll be basically doing what we've done for all these preseason ones, and they'll be facilitated and presented by members of the association. So it'll go central, northeast, northwest, south will be the order of presentation, and we'll get those dates to you. They'll start the last week, I believe, of March.
Good information. Thank you.
Of course.
Seeing somebody else's screen. Nate, is that you?
That is Nate.
Sorry, I was talking to myself. Okay, so what'll happen is these meetings will actually go towards your meeting attendance. And Dana, remind me what the wrestling meeting attendance requirement is. I don't have that in front of me.
6.
Okay, so you are required to have 6 meetings a season in order to either maintain your eligibility or move up. And so what will happen is weekly, I've been doing these weekly meeting attendance logs. And as you can see, it has the official's name, where they're from, their registration paid, required scrimmages, or any of the main information that they're wanting, and total meetings, 1 of 8 required meetings, right? And we keep a log. For example, this official didn't attend on 113, no 120, no 23, and has 1 meeting credit. And so weekly you will get an update, so you have an idea of what your attendance looks like. But that's kind of us running those meetings. And then if you do have local meetings, then we will request that information as well from your group leader, and then we'll plug it into this attendance log. But that's what that'll look like.
So the nice thing for group leaders is they don't have to keep this log throughout the year. Nate will actually keep that. And we'll send emails out that have an explanation, so that way if you're unsure, there will be for all the meetings a registration process you have to go through. It takes all of maybe 14 seconds to register. It's your first and last name and your local group. And then that way we'll be able to track attendance. So you'll get an email that says register for next week's meeting. You'll register for it and then log in. If you can't make it, it will be recorded. All of the meetings will be recorded, and you'll have an opportunity to do a makeup assignment if you do miss a meeting. Because we all know that you have lives outside of high school wrestling officiating.
Great, thank you. Adam, Ron, I know you guys were on. What's going on in northeastern New Mexico?
Hey, Rusty, we don't really have much scheduled yet either. I think we're still kind of waiting to see how this all unrolls and unravels and comes together. So, as we get more answers and get more of a clear idea of our path forward, we'll probably try to facilitate something. But I do like the idea of having some central meetings with everybody for this year at least. So
I think everybody does. But thank you. What about Carlos? I know you're on. I'm not sure if we got any of the other cuates from down there, but have you heard anything from your group about potential meetings?
Not yet. We're still trying to figure all of that out and still trying to first get people registered. I think that's what Mondo wanted to do, is just have people registered first, and then once everybody registers, start unraveling a plan to see how and when we're going to meet.
Great, thank you. And then Central, last but not least, and I'll yield the floor here in just a second, but I did speak with John just over the weekend, and Elaine, I would welcome your input on this, but it seems like, Dana, that we do need to put together a small group meeting for the Central region sometime before the end of February. So again, I'll coordinate with you and try to identify the empty time slots when we can utilize that. Elaine, do you have anything to add on that?
No, I just agree. I think because we have to have an election, correct?
That seems like the top of our agenda right now. And I did send you a chat a little bit earlier, Elaine, regarding that. So if you get a chance, eyeball that and
Okay.
we'll figure it out. Okay. In terms of rules, I think Nate did a good job, letting us know we do have rule books that'll be along, after the registration deadline, March 1st. And, most of us, I think, through the winter managed to stay in pretty good shape with those rules. Coach Owen, I'm going to call on you in just a couple of minutes here, but I did want to share that Jet provided. Now, let me get back to it. This was produced by the Colorado Wrestling Officials Association, and I thought they did a pretty nice job with just hitting the highlights here. Not all of this is going to match up with New Mexico's protocols, but I think it's a pretty good template. I know it's rather lengthy, and I'm not gonna bore you with reading through it, but you can at least, hit the first sentence of each one, and we'll see what it's got there. It's not gonna let me scroll down, I don't think. It's not. If I try to scroll down right now, it's gonna change the screen. But this will be available in the recorded version, and you'll be able to see that from there. I know one of the points that Dana corrected me on last fall is that Colorado is allowing for a variety of mask, gaiter, shield coverings, and I know, Dana, correct me if I'm wrong, but New Mexico will be strict as far as full cloth masks. Did I get that right?
For officials, that is correct. Gaiters are still not acceptable, and face shields are also not allowable just because of the potential for injury, I guess, would be what Sally explained to me.
I guess Colorado doesn't have those concerns, but we do. So here we go. I think there's and again, I just highlight this very quickly. Jet, thanks for sharing this. There's some decent stuff in here, but one of the things with our pre-meet contacts is to find out, what the particular building that we're in, if they have specific protocols. I just really think it looks a lot more professional for us to make ourselves aware of those ahead of time. Notice too that Colorado's asking referees to be there at least 15 minutes prior. And in New Mexico, or at least in the central region, we ask for a half an hour prior. As you start putting your war bags together, just some quick reminders. There will be hand sanitizer in all hosting facilities, and there will be plenty of it. Nevertheless, I think it's really a good idea that, if you hit a sale at Sam's Club or Costco or Walgreens or somewhere, and get multiple bottles, I think it's going to be a good idea for us to carry our own there. I left the one image up there. I'm having the good fortune right now of being able to watch a ton of college wrestling. I mean, I'm watching 6 dual meets every Saturday afternoon, 2 more on Friday night, and 3 more on Sunday. The referees are with practice are having really good success with a cloth face mask and a whistle inside it, and being able to get the whistle out of their mouth just enough to be able to communicate with the athletes verbally. And so it is definitely doable, but I think it's something that, especially if, if your family members are, doing a shopping adventure or something on a Sunday afternoon, or you're out in the shop, or, if your weather warms up enough that you can work outside, wherever you can get that the neighbors won't call the nice people to come and bundle you up. If you experiment with having a whistle in your mouth and a mask on, it seems to me like that's something that we want to have experienced before we're on the mat with athletes. Same thing, if you're going to use the electronic whistle, I'm having really good success with it, but it does have a learning curve to it. One, I chose to take the lanyard off of my electronic whistle. Not everybody does. I have watched referees that are successful using the lanyard and being able to hook that whistle with the pinky finger and award points with the whistle in their hand. I can't do it. So I do change hands with the electronic whistle, and that the lanyard just causes problems. I mean, it's gonna catch on things and cause problems there. But I think however you planning to do that, if you are going to use the electronic whistle, you need to play with it as well, and get used to the idea of changing hands with it and being able to award your points, and, and being able to establish a feel for the flat side of the instrument. Not all of them are the same shape as this Fox 40. I use the Fox 40, but knowing where the flat side of that is keeps you from missing the button when you do need a quick whistle. So practice, practice, practice with that. In terms of our emotional preparation, at really where this is headed, and then Coach Owen, I'm going to yield to you on some of this, but just knowing that there is wrestling out there, and knowing that we're not alone, and knowing that the struggle is national and global, I think it is emotionally good for us when we're, when we get the doldrums and we wonder, what's going to happen and when it's going to happen and how's it going to happen. There's some pretty good wrestling that's going on out there. Several state championships have already concluded. I stole this, but as of February 15th, and you can see the states there that added state champions to the list. So it's happening and it's working. This was a statement that was released with that article, and I champion this because of its second paragraph. Winning a state high school title is a big deal to kids. It gives me great comfort to know that that's the overlying philosophy that's out there, and it also reminds me what's important about all of this. And it is that kid, whichever kid it happens to be. There are several states out there that are working cooperatively. You can see that this headline is based on the what if, but several states have a really solid cooperation and are not afraid to ask for help in bad situations. So, just some thought there. This is the statement from New Jersey. You can see that on the recording. And we got the Olympic trials scheduled. This just hit. You can see February 11th, last Thursday. Penn State finally gracefully bowed out of the picture for 2021. They will host the trials in 2024, but the Olympic team trials will be held, Carlos, in your home state, brother. And a beautiful, beautiful new facility that just opened last year, and will actually be one of the first events hosted in that facility. So I find that good news. There's Dickey's Arena, and I think it's pretty much in the central part of Fort Worth. I know it's right off of I-30. Coach Owen, if you're still with us, can you share whatever you've learned either from NFHS or from your peers in other states that are hosting championships? What's the current status out there that we can use to prepare?
It's about 50-50 split right now in the states that are chugging along, and the others that are kind of like us that are still twiddling their thumbs trying to figure out exactly how they're going to make this work. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of news as far as where we are here in New Mexico. I wish I had more. Obviously, we are planning on a season, but there's still quite a bit left to be determined. I'm going to share just a little bit of the information I shared this afternoon with our coaches. Some of this is more information that you need to know. And then I'll leave it up for any questions you may have, any curiosities. I'm going to share with Dana. Pat Tossi at the NWCA has an ongoing Google Doc that's kind of showing what is going on in all the other states, and so the state associations can go on and make those changes, and it just kind of stays up to date as far as where every other state is in their wrestling seasons and what kind of modifications they're making. Here's just some information I sent out to the coaches as far as where we are right now. And again, some of this is more information than you probably need as officials, but just so you're kind of in the loop. Obviously, I hope you saw the out-of-state travel quarantines have been lifted. Had a lot of coaches wanting to know if they could take their kids or or if not them taking them, but if mom or dad could take them to these out-of-state tournaments without having to be dinged with that 14-day quarantine. So that has been lifted. We are still in out of season until March 29th. So our coaches are having to follow out of season guidelines until the 29th of March. We heard a rumor that February 22nd, we would be able to, start our fall sports, and if our schools were in some sort of a hybrid model, that they could get out of their 4-to-1 pod workouts and start full go. We're hearing pretty much all sports other than wrestling may be able to do that, is what I'm hearing, because of the close contact nature. And I think our governor has some concerns about wrestling at this point. So I think Sally's told that the schools that February 22nd would, if you're in hybrid, you can get out of your 4-to-1 pods and start full contact practice. But we may be telling our school something else next Monday. As you mentioned, Rusty, our wrestling season is March 29th to May 29th. So that is where we're at right now with that. We're giving our schools 18 competitions points to work with. What we're probably going to be looking like in the state of New Mexico is, and some of this is directives from the state, is regional competition only. We haven't really defined that. That's really come from the governor as far as what regional is. We don't know. She just told us we needed to, focus on staying regionally. No overnight travel for our schools. And right now, if I had to go out and tell our schools to build a schedule, it'd probably be dual meets only. I'm trying to help get to, small invitationals, 8 teams maybe only. I know our girls are really going to struggle because they don't have squads big enough to fill full dual meets. So the tries and the quads are probably not going to work well for them. So I'm working right now to see if we can have a limit on the number of folks in a particular facility, so that we can at least, allow our girls to wrestle some more invitationals. And if our boys want to do that also, to let them go ahead and do some invitationals as well. Weight assessments are still going to occur this year. There'll be some changes as far as descent plans and growth allowance, but we'll handle all that. Obviously, as you mentioned, mask wearing for everybody is probably what we're going to be dealing with. Officials, wrestlers, the whole bit. And then if we're lucky enough to have a season and have a state championships, there's probably going to be one-day events. And, we're probably going to have to limit the number of qualifiers just so that we can run one-day events. Right now, tentatively, it would be 3A and 4A would probably go on Thursday, take a break on Friday, and then have 5A and girls on Saturday. The plan right now is Santa Ana Star Center for that. But again, everything is up in the air. Everything is so tentative. I've been really tight-lipped with coaches, officials, just because I didn't want to put anything out there and get wheels spinning that, potentially would go nowhere. Even a lot of this may go nowhere. I'd like to be as optimistic as I can about our possibilities of competing this year. And things are looking like they're going in that direction, but I know our governor has a lot of concerns with indoor sports. And, wrestling being the most highest contact indoor sport we have, it sounds like high on her concern list. So we've got to make plans in case we are able to go. And so we're doing that as best we can, but there's still a lot up in the air. As far as the other states, as I mentioned, I'm going to give Dana that link to send out to you guys later to take a look at. But those states that have not competed yet, pretty much everything that I just spoke about is kind of in the same boat that they are. I have heard the states that are mask wearing, there's really not been a whole lot of concerns from officials, wrestlers. Obviously, it's doable. My plan would make, if we have to, go ahead and move forward with mask wearing to put out guidelines that's going to make it as simple and as safe for everybody. I don't want us to get hung up on having, the masks and the requirements. And what happens if it slides down in the middle of a move? The guidance that will come out from our office will be something very simplistic that we can get through without a whole lot of problems. So other than that, I don't have a whole lot else to share. If there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to shoot them at me, and hopefully I have some answers. But that's about it, Rusty.
Great. Thank you, Coach. Does anybody have any questions right now for Coach Owen? No, we're fortunate in New Mexico to have a governor that's such an expert in things like this.
Hey Rusty, it's Diego.
So,
I had a quick question, and I'm not sure if you already covered this, but are we going to be raising hands this year?
no,
Okay.
well,
Got it.
what we will do is direct the winning wrestler to raise their own hand while we raise the corresponding wristband.
Okay, got it.
Anybody else for Coach Owen? Scott, thanks for taking time to share that with us. I know you're tired and I know you're beat up, but just thanks.
Yeah, no promise.
The social part of what we're doing, I think I am really, really happy at this stage of our evolution that we've been able to use this mechanism as one teeny tiny bit of hanging out together and poking fun at each other and staying who we are. As we approach, the optimism of March and April, I think, regionally and maybe statewide, we need to do everything that we can. I have, not really all that frequent, but I have really nice conversations with Jet away from this venue, and I have conversations with our own folks in the central area, and this the more we can, take a couple of minutes on a Sunday afternoon and just ring somebody up and talk family, talk Super Bowl, talk whatever there is in the interpersonal relationships. I think that's going to put us in a good position to lean back on that professionalism, when work when we work, play when we play, and be supportive of each other when we get to whatever our season looks like. In the way with that, I had a conference call this morning. At this point, as of today, D1 is going to wrestle as scheduled in St. Louis. It's going to be a reasonably empty facility. Currently, it looks like each athlete's going to have 2 spectators. So if you happen to be a college kid that's married, one of your parents may have to stay home, and that kind of sucks for them. But St. Louis is doing a nice job putting this together and staying within NCAA guidelines. D2, same thing, weekend before in a different facility, but also in St. Louis, and D2 is ready to go. Unfortunately, we do not have a wrestling presence in Division II from New Mexico this year, and that in and of itself has tragedy written all over it. D3 canceled, and so this came out last week. 2 weeks. You can see the date on there, February 5th. But D3 is opening, their communication doors, and USA Wrestling is going to step in and do something that will satisfy the needs, especially of seniors who are finishing a college career, or looking to go to the next level, and so socially, I applaud that sort of collaboration within governing bodies. Gained access to this, and it's a 7-minute presentation. Coach Owen, I don't know if you have a more detailed one that I'll see later in March, but rather than play this will be in the recorded version of the meeting tonight. If anybody's anxious to get a head start, it's pretty straight up stuff that we studied as our fall changed to winter, and we progressed. Okay. So here's what I learned from Dana just earlier this evening. We are scheduled to meet collectively on March 23rd with our brother and sister coaches and learn pretty much the details that Coach Owen is able to present by that time, knowing that, you know, things are always going to have to stay a little bit flexible right now. And then on Wednesday, the 24th, we are going to meet referees only. I'm sure that coaches would be invited to that if they chose to attend, but it'll be predominantly for officials only on the 24th. And that's going to, in quotes, be our 2021 state clinic. So notice the difference in times, and then expect for Dana to be letting you know about that, and perhaps even Nate. With that thought in mind, today's February 16th. We have successfully gotten together every single month since last April. And I take enormous pride in the dedication that all of you guys have pumped into your love of wrestling over that time. I believe, and I'm happy to do something additional. I like doing this, but it would seem that if we're going to meet March 23rd with coaches and March 24th with us, that will probably constitute our March get-togethers, other than the other meetings that Dana made reference to earlier. Those could start earlier in March. But think about it for the next couple of minutes. If anybody's got a reason why you think we need to hit on a specific topic or do a specific pep talk before March 23rd, let me know and I'll work with Dana and Nate and get that put together. If not, then I believe March 23rd will be the next time that we're all together in an educational format. Dana, does that sound like I'm getting it right?
It does. Let me double check my calendar, just because there's a lot going on and I'm getting behind on things. So as I mentioned earlier, we'll have a planning meeting on the 3rd, which will be regional assigners and group leaders. And during that time, we'll come up with the kind of the curriculum for the statewide virtual meetings that will take the place of the live meetings each week. We will have, now that I've pulled this out, we'll have the first of those on Wednesday, March 17th. And that will actually be a presentation by Nate and myself, and we'll actually go through some NMOA specific stuff, Constitution, kind of how the wrestling meetings this year will go, all of that. It'll be really important for new officials to be on there, and then veteran officials. It'll be a great refresher for all of you. So we've done that as our first meeting in all sports. And of course, the 23rd and 24th will be the district and state clinics. And then after that, it looks like you do have a 1-week lull on that week of the 29th. So that would be a week that if local groups wanted to get together, that would be a good time to do that. And then we'll start with the weekly meetings on Wednesday, April 7th, and they'll go 4 weeks straight, the 7th through the 28th, it looks like. And then it'll be a local meeting option again the week of May 3rd. So just so you know how that's going to look. You don't have to commit those to memory. I, of course, will send a bunch of emails with a full schedule, and then you'll get an invitation email the Friday before each meeting, and then the day of, just as a reminder. So you'll be getting an influx of emails from me. I know, as if you don't already, I'm going to send you even more. So be on the lookout for those, and certainly as you get them, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me or Nate, and we'll be glad to field those for you.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course.
As fate would have it, let me be the one that gets out in front of this. March 17th, I will be absent because I have the good fortune of being able to work at the NCAAs.
Well, that is awesome, and I guess that's a good excuse. I'll let you watch that and do the makeup, Rusty, just because. Congratulations, that's awesome.
Yeah, and don't take that wrong. I'm not refereeing NCAAs. I'm a crew chief for their scores and timers.
That's still pretty cool. So that's like I said, I guess that's a good enough excuse to miss the first meeting. We'll have it recorded should you want to watch it, but I appreciate you letting us know.
And you don't have to quarantine when you get back, so that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. I do get to referee the NAIA Women's Championships the weekend before that, and I'm pretty jazzed about that one. So, okay, that's it. I got a bunch of junk in here. There's where I intended to go in terms of preparation, and this is nothing new to anybody, but I thought President Abe had a pretty valid point there, and that certainly describes how most of us approach the officiating mentality. So I leave you with that, and we'll open it to questions or general comments for the good of the order.
I want to say thank you to Rusty for all the presentations. This is wrestling webinar number 11, and obviously you've taken a lot of your time to put these together and do some continuing education and engagement for our wrestling officials. And we really have had kind of the same core of officials on these. So to all of you who have been on, I really thank you for your time and for staying involved and staying engaged as we've gone through all of this unknown stuff. So we appreciate you hanging in with us and wanting to stay involved with the NMOA in this very long off season. So we'll be hopeful that we'll get back on the mat sooner than later. Scott Owen, thank you for being on tonight and providing that information. I've said it many times and I'll say it again with Scott present. We're very fortunate to have Scott as our director of wrestling in our office. He's an incredible asset and truly a wrestling guy, but with him being a wrestling guy, he brings a whole lot of other talent to our office. I always say Scott's the smartest guy on our staff, and I'll say that to the rest of the staff and not feel like I'm offending anybody because they all know that. So Scott's just a tremendous source of information from the sports medicine side of things and eligibility. He deals with a lot of very tough issues and deals with all of them with more poise than I think I would be able to. So Scott, thank you for everything that you do. And of course, Nate and I are looking forward to continuing on, and we'll have several meetings during the month of March. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Month of March. Goodness gracious, the month of March. And if you have to miss something, just let us know, and we'll get you the recording. That is not a problem at all. But thank you all in the wrestling community for what you do. It's a very special group, and I'm excited to work with you all once again this year, whenever that may be. So thank you for everything. And Rusty, I think you had said at one point you wanted to kind of talk to Jet about his officiating in Colorado. He is on now, so I don't know if you wanted to talk to him about that.
Yeah, you want to give us a quick summary of your experience?
Yeah, it's been really good. I've done 183 matches so far. So I've been really busy. I'm doing about 3 events a week. It's a little different. It just takes some getting used to, but it's nothing that any of us can't prepare to deal with. So COVID protocols are a little different. So other than that, it's just wrestling. It's been really good.
I'm so excited that you're getting opportunities. That's awesome.
Hey,
Carlos, your turn's coming soon, huh?
Oh, go ahead, Carlos.
Our turn for what? To start officiating?
Yeah.
Yeah, we start the first official meet is March the 1st. So we're starting to have meetings pretty quickly and just trying to get everybody registered. Really, first is the main thing, but we're starting pretty soon.
Mika, do you get a chance to work in Texas or no?
Armando's extended the invitation. It's just with, the way everything is going there and the way everything's going here with things being pushed back. I haven't had the opportunity to get out there just quite yet.
Hey, I will tell you all, and I think Jet, being able to actually work, stick to your fundamentals. I think that if you stick to what you know and your fundamentals, whether you're wearing a mask, you're using an electronic whistle, just from an officiating standpoint, I think you're going to be okay, and you're going to find that it really just is. It's pretty simple. Stick to the fundamentals. Stick to everything that you know and you've learned you know over the years, and you're going to be okay. And and Jet said it's still wrestling, and it's still officiating, and you're going to be fine. And all the what ifs will answer themselves once you get out there on the mat and you start doing what you normally do. I know you haven't been on the mat, but I'm telling you, if you stick to your fundamentals, it's like riding a bike.
Correct. Thank you. Anybody else
Rusty,
for
I
the good of
had
the group?
Rusty,
Go,
I had
Jet.
I had Pagosa and Fruta the other day, which is the big 5A school. They're a tough team. That was the most intense duel I've ever done in my life. That was crazy.
That's cool.
How's Pagosa? Are they okay?
Oh, they'll probably win. They'll probably win state for 3A, I'm sure. But that was a nail biter, but Pagosa ended up edging them out.
Cool. Yeah, I missed my annual trek to Pagosa in January this year. That was a hard one to not be able to get in. They do such a great job. Good people.
Yeah, their 160-pound kid is committed to the University of Iowa, so he'll be going there next year. He's a tough kid.
They have pretty big connection with the Hawkeye culture.
Yep.
Good deal. Anybody else for the good of the group?
Hey, I was just curious, and this is a question for Jet, because I know we've been doing football already down here for a while, and we've really started kicking it into gear this last couple of weeks. But Jet, when you're out there on the mat, I mean, I've got out there and I run, so I run a bunch, and I've tried running with the mask. How'd that feel on the mat with the mask? How thick is the mask that you're wearing? And the only reason I'm asking is because down here, COVID was rampant. Like, I mean, I think 5 out of our 9 coaches have already experienced it. They've been through it. We've had tons of kids. So like we double mask. So like I have our superintendent issued a bunch for us. So I wear like an N95, and then I have the district issued one. So like I'm double masked. Holy smokes, man, just getting up the stairs and around the area. I feel like I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm sucking wind, man.
Yeah, it's
a cold
difficult.
age, Mika.
Hey, shut up, Carlos.
I'm fortunate enough there to be able to wear a neck gaiter, so it's not too bad.
Oh, that's true.
But I've done a ton of practice just at the house with one on, maneuvering the whistle. That's the biggest deal. So if you have a chance to do that, because you don't want to look silly out there on the mat.
Yeah, definitely. I was just kind of curious, man, because I just know from just everything we do from station to station, moving to moving, you feel it.
And Mika, I will tell you that in the games that I officiate, I've learned I wear the Under Armour mask. And what I do is I literally rest the whistle on my cheek when I need to, like when I'm not, I can maneuver it to my cheek, between my cheek and my mask. And so I talk, I communicate, and then when I'm ready to put the whistle in my mouth again, I just kind of maneuver it back. And, but the whistle's probably the hardest part as far as running up and down the floor. I've been working out with the mask, so it's good. That Under Armour mask has been good to me. So
got a couple of guys on staff that have those, and they've said the same thing, but just, and it was more just a question, of what that was like too, because when you get out there that first time, that adrenaline's flowing, man, and you're just amped up, and then it's like it takes a couple of matches before you start settling in. So same thing, I'm sure, with you guys up and down the court. I'm sure
it's just it's practice. It's getting comfortable with how you're gonna hold your whistle, how you're gonna talk without a whistle, and literally it's I don't know. First time I referee without a mask, it's gonna be kind of weird. And trust me, I haven't worked a ton. What am I, 8 games, and in those 8 compared to 90 that I probably would be at right now, but it's still, you just get in that routine and it comes quick.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Thanks, Jet. Thanks, Nate.
Anybody else?
Hey, Rusty, I did send Dana that link to the Google documents from the NWCA. So if you're interested, Dana South, and you can just kind of tell where all the different states are and what their protocols and modifications of what they're doing. You'll see, like I said, it's about a 50-50 split, maybe a little bit more that have been able to compete. But you just have an idea of where we are as a country and trying to get wrestling going or finished for the school year.
Thank you. And I would like to see that. So if one of you would share it with me, I'll appreciate it.
Good job,
Anybody
Rusty.
else? Ron, go ahead.
So I was just saying, good job, interesting meeting. Thank you, Nate, Dana, Scott. You guys are an amazing group.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Rusty, this is David Luna.
Hey, David.
I'm sure a lot of people know about this, but Robertson and West have both decided to stay online. So unfortunately, at this point, unless something miraculously happened, we're not going to have any kind of sports participation up here in this part of the world, which is, unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Sad to hear that.
Yeah. It's going to really hurt our kids and progressing, from this year to next year. Yeah, I got a bunch of young kids, and, to have nothing going on for this period of time is really, really hurting their development as well. So it's tough for us.
Sorry you're going through that.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, then I'm going to say my goodnight with another heartfelt thank you. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'm so proud to be part of this group. Dana, I'll turn it back over to you, and you can close it up.
Sounds good. I've kind of already given my heartfelt good nights as well, but everybody, thank you again, and stay safe, stay warm with this strange winter blast, which apparently I caused. So this is my fault. I was complaining about a week and a half ago about it was too warm and my allergies were killing me. So I take responsibility for this winter storm here in New Mexico. I apologize. If you like the snow, you're welcome. But if you need anything between now and the next time we all get together, please feel free to reach out and encourage your friends to get registered, and we'll get them taken care of as well. So take care, and everybody, thank you again. And we look forward to seeing you in person again one day. I'm sorry to be sentimental, but I do look forward to that. So hang in there like we're all doing, and thank you again for your patience and your staying light on your feet. We appreciate that. Have a good week.
Hey, keep your eyes peeled. Your very own Elaine's about to sit on a panel that's doing big things. So
Yes,
don't miss that.
absolutely. That'll start next Tuesday. So she's on that, and then Jet, who may have logged out already, he's on our constitutional review committee. So we're getting some wrestling rep for sure, which is awesome. So wait and see. Stay tuned. It's a cliffhanger.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
You guys.
Good night.
Good night.